Hi everyone, welcome. Now I just noticed there's quite a few people still coming into the room, so I might just give it another 30 seconds while we wait for some of those people to arrive and then I'll commence shortly. Okay, so welcome to this year's Queensland Health Intern Campaign Information Webinar, co-hosted by Queensland Health and JCU's Northern Queensland Regional Training Hubs. It's great to see so many medical students could make it with us joining us tonight. My name is Andrea Muller and I'm the Program Manager of the Northern Queensland Regional Training Hubs, and I will be the moderator of this webinar tonight. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land where we live and work and pay our deepest respects to their elders, ancestors and future generations. We are thankful for the government's Department of Health and Aged Care, who fund the Regional Training Hubs program, as well as the collaboration and support from the Queensland Health Recruitment Team and the medical education units and doctors from the hospitals across Queensland. Now we have an exciting program ahead, which we will begin with Shane Green from Queensland Health Recruitment Team, who will update you on the Queensland intern application process for groups A to D. After that, you'll hear from each hospital who will present their facilities and explain what you can expect as an intern in each location. The presenters will also be joined by current interns or junior doctors who will let you know about the quality training opportunities available throughout Queensland. The final part of the webinar will be an open floor Q&A session, and we encourage you to ask questions. At the bottom of your screen, you can see the Q&A icon. Please use this tool to ask questions, and it can be used at any time during the webinar. We have Michelle Campbell from Queensland Health and others behind the scenes responding to your queries online, and we will also answer some questions live tonight. All responses will be visible to everyone, but if there are questions that we can't get to tonight, the answers will be made available along with the recording of this webinar in the next few days. Now, please all welcome Shane Green from Queensland Health, who will explain the intern application process.
Thanks so much, Andrea. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. It's great to see so many people registered and keen to work at Queensland Health. As Andrea mentioned, my name is Shane Green and I oversee the intern and RMO recruitment campaigns. I'm joined by Michelle Campbell, who's the intern campaign coordinator. She's in the background, she's live, she's going to be answering your questions. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands in which we meet tonight and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to extend that to any First Nations final year medical students that are joining us this evening. A big thank you to our hospital partners that are presenting after me, the fun bit, where they get to pitch their facilities, and to Andrea and the team at the Northern Queensland Regional Training Hub. Okay, I'm about to share my screen. Hopefully you can see that now. So what are we going to cover tonight? We'll first look at some of the outcomes from the last intern recruitment campaign, which was Intern 2025. And that you'll see what hospitals were oversubscribed, and some key statistics and demographic data from our intern cohort. We'll then move into the intern application process. I'll discuss the applicant groups, some of the key dates for the campaign, some of the mandatory documentation that you'll be required to upload as part of the application, and how preferencing works. We'll then move into the intern allocation process. So there's two subsets. There's a Group A process, and I'll touch on the ballot process, special consideration, joint tickets, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Intern Allocation Initiative, and then we'll move into the Group B to D selection process. So looking at the stats from last year, we had 915 intern positions recruited to the 2025 clinical year. That was the highest amount that we've ever recruited. So that's great. There's job opportunities for you in Queensland and we welcome your application. Of those, 855 were general intern positions and there were 60 rural generalist intern positions. 84% were Queensland University grads. 72% were applicant Group A, or those that are guaranteed an offer, and 81% were Australian or New Zealand citizens or Australian PR. 85% of our guaranteed cohort were allocated to their first preference. That's a fairly high statistic, and that's a statistic after all the swaps and transfers considered and done. We had 120 international students from Australian medical schools that were selected to an intern position in Queensland. 107 of those attended one of the 4 Queensland medical schools. They were placed predominantly at Townsville, Gold Coast, Ipswich, Rockhampton, and the PA. This is just an interesting stat that we collect when we're looking at the application data. So the majority of applicants attended Year 12 schooling in Queensland, followed by New South Wales and Victoria, Canada and South Australia. In previous years, we've had New Zealand and the USA pop up there. That last bullet point, 114 applicant Group A candidates withdrew their offer. That is a considerable amount. It's sad to lose those graduates to other states, mainly New South Wales and Victoria. But it does free up other opportunities for those in groups B, C, and D. So at the close of application, 7 hospitals were oversubscribed, which means the number of first preferences exceeded the number of available positions for guaranteed candidates. Last year's oversubscribed hospitals, as you can see, are all in the southeast corner. And that's no surprise, that's a historical trend. And those that listed that first preference, an oversubscribed hospital, was subject to the ballot process, and I'll get to that shortly. So this is just a little a diagram, I suppose, of how the process works. So the first step is you check your eligibility and you prepare your supporting documentation. We've got a Queensland Health Intern Recruitment website, and we've also got an application guide, and they're both alive at the moment. You submit your application via the online portal. Offers are released in a staggered fashion. So first we start with offers for the Queensland Rural Generalist Pathway, and then we move to applicant Group A for general intern candidates, and then offers are released to all Group B to D candidates. You accept your offer or decline your offer. You've generally got 48 hours to consider your offer. Following that, your employing hospital will commence the pre-employment requirements and the orientation, etc., on all the onboarding activities, and then you'll commence with Queensland Health, and that little thing on the right is your starting base salary. So it's fairly high, one of the highest in Australia, and I believe $14,000 more than New South Wales. Okay, so now let's talk about the intern application process. So in Queensland, the Department of Health administers the e-recruitment system on behalf of the participating hospitals. We've used the same system for approximately 15 years, and it's the same system that we use for intern recruitment, that we use for the RMO and registrar recruitment. The centralized system not only offers the most cost-efficient approach to large-scale recruitment, but it ensures that we, as a government, fulfill our commitment to guarantee an offer to all Group A candidates. And it makes it incredibly easy for you. It's one application and you have to preference all the facilities. So in other states and territories, I believe you have to apply to individual hospitals. In Queensland, very easy, one application and preference the hospitals. These are the application groups for 2026. So there's sort of 2 subgroups. The first is guaranteed offer graduates, and the second is not guaranteed offer graduates. I hate that terminology, but that's what we were told by our legal team to use. And those are the not guaranteed offer graduates, obviously those in groups B, C, and D. And for Group A, they'll be allocated to positions either automatically or via the random ballot, and that depends on how they preference. So let's look into those definitions a little bit closer. This is the definition for applicant Group A. I'll give you a moment to read that. So just a note here that Those that are guaranteed an offer, those in Group A get one offer. So if they may fail their internship or not fail certain terms and require additional time, they're eligible to apply again. But if they apply again, they'll be considered a Group B candidate and they'll have to go through a meritorious selection process. And here's the definition for Groups B, C, and D. Group Bs are Australian residents, citizens or permanent residents from interstate universities. Group C, medical graduates of Australian or New Zealand universities who are not Australian or New Zealand citizens or Australian permanent residents. And Group D are those that have obtained their primary medical qualification overseas. So looking at some of the key dates, we open our campaign 6th of May at 9 AM sharp, and we close 5th of June at 3 PM. These are nationally aligned dates. Every state and territory has to open and close at on the same date. We'll have our ballot meeting on the 7th of July, and then we'll release those offers 14th of July, 16th of July onwards. Applicant groups B to D will get their offers from the 21st of July onwards. There's 3 rounds of the national audit, which I'll talk to later. It's essentially if you hold multiple offers across different jurisdictions, and you're given 48 hours to decide on one jurisdiction. We'll then move into the late vacancy management process. So the intern application process. You'll need to supply a current email address and your telephone number. There's a lot of mandatory questions that you'll be required to fill out. Otherwise, you can't move past the next step in the form, and you'll be required to upload a number of mandatory supporting documentation. So let's look at that a little bit closer. We'll ask for details around your name and date of birth, your contact details. So when you're applying, please ensure that you are using a current email address. Some people might use their university address and then it gets shut off. So it's up to you, obviously, but email is the key communication tool that we'll use from the system. So please make sure it's active until at least December. We'll ask for your unique intern placement number, your medical school details, other related education and qualifications. There's an opportunity for you to answer a couple of key questions around why you want to work in Queensland, and the career-related experiences that you want to pursue in your internship year. You'll also be required to provide details of 2 referees. Here's some more mandatory supporting documentation. We'll ask for your Australian or New Zealand passport or birth certificate, plus photo identification, or your visa details. You'll be required to fill out the vaccine preventable diseases form and tuberculosis risk assessment form. There's a criminal history consent form and your resume. If you don't have a resume, totally fine. We've got a template on the intern recruitment website that you could utilize. So moving on to preferences. As I mentioned, there's one application, and within that application, you'll be required to preference all 20 facilities that participate in the campaign. So on the left of the screen, you'll see what we refer to as the PSR, or the Position Status Report. Now that's a live tool which you'll be able to see how your peers are preferencing within the application. So it looks at first preferences only. So the position status report shows the total intern positions and the total of Group A interns that have applied. And that might guide how you preference. You might really want to stay in the southeast corner. And if you do, you might see that the Royal's oversubscribed, the PA is oversubscribed, and Caboolture is undersubscribed. So it gives you a little bit of intel in terms of how you fill out the application. and how you want to preference. So 1 is your first preference, 2 is your second preference. So within the application form itself, on the right is a screenshot of how it looks, and you'll be required to fill out those hospitals and put a 1 to 20 against each facility. Now keep in mind, Mount Isa Hospital has 5 intern positions, but they're all generalist positions. So they're full, so you'll be required to put Mount Isa as 20th. And there'll be information to guide you on this in the application. So I mentioned referees earlier. You must nominate 2 referees who are not friends. And it's important that you seek their permission to nominate them as part of your application. They'll need to provide advice on a number of domains: professional relationships, clinical skills and knowledge, professional and ethical behavior, and so on. Now, an important note here is that for those that are in Group A or guaranteed an offer, automatic emails are not sent to your referees. The hospitals may ask for them for additional information, but an automatic email is not sent to them. For those in Groups B to D that go through a meritorious selection process or a suitability assessment, automatic referees are sent. So you'll fill in your application. Once you hit submit, emails will be sent off to your referee. They'll get the email, they'll fill out the form. That form is then attached to your application. So it makes it incredibly easy for you. So this is a slide around term 2 or mid-year commencements. And so we request that at the time of application, if you know that you will not be able to start in January 2026, put that in your application. It's fine, it will be considered. You can jump on the intern recruitment website and you can look at which hospitals accept term 2 or mid-year commencements. Most of them are, the vast majority are considering them. And last year was the first year that the bond mid-years were implemented as part of the recruitment drive, and all were successfully placed for mid-year commencement. But we encourage you to initiate those conversations early. So you can jump on the intern recruitment website, just say you want Gold Coast, for example. There's the contact details for Gold Coast Hospital. You can contact them and tell them when your expected grad date is, and they will consider it. The last bullet point there is that term 2 and mid-year commencements are not automatically guaranteed. The hospitals need to approve these requests. Okay, moving on to the intern allocation process. Just looking at the time, going okay, I think. So the close of applications, and this is for Group A, it deals with the ballot process. A hospital will either be equal in numbers or undersubscribed or oversubscribed. Now, if it's equal in numbers or undersubscribed, the candidate will be going to that hospital because there's essentially not that competition. There's enough intern positions. If the Group A first preferences is more than the number of intern positions at a certain facility, then it's considered oversubscribed, and those that nominate that hospital will be subject to the ballot process. So it's a lot of information in that slide. So how does the ballot process work? You might have heard a rumor that there's bingo balls. I can confirm that rumor is true. We do use bingo balls. So essentially how the process works is it's a 3-step process. An oversubscribed hospital is randomly drawn. An applicant will be randomly drawn from the pool of applicants who nominated the hospital as a first preference. That applicant is then allocated to the next available undersubscribed hospital in their order of preferences. And that process repeats until a hospital is equal in numbers. So you might be confused. Here's another little diagram here. So in this example, we've got the RBWH and the PA both oversubscribed. There's a random selection of RBWH from the pool of oversubscribed hospitals, meaning someone who nominated RBWH will be pulled and moved. The next step is a random person is drawn from all those that nominated the RBWH. We then look at how they preference, and then we'll move them according to their preferences to a facility that has a vacancy. So the ballot is run by the Department of Health, and we ask for nominations from each of the Queensland medical schools to come and observe the process. Just prior to the ballot process, there's a review committee meeting. Now that review committee will assess applications for special consideration, joint ticket, deferrals, and endorse applications for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Intern Allocation Initiative. Now those assessments and determinations are made. There'll be decisions on those applications, and then we move into the ballot process. So this is just a slide on our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Intern Allocation Initiative. It's a mouthful, and we call it the initiative for short. And it essentially provides First Nations graduates the opportunity to work at their hospital of first preference, and thus being exempt from the ballot process. Now, there might be a number of reasons why they want to do that. It might be to work alongside a key mentor or consultant, or be on or close to country. The initiative's been around since the 2020 campaign, and we received 14 applications last year, which was the highest number. But also last year, we extended the criteria. So it wasn't only Group A's that were eligible, but Group A's and Group B's. So it's a fantastic initiative. So here's just a slide about that eligibility, and I've kind of touched on that already. Here's a slide on special consideration. So it's recognised that some Group A candidates may have extenuating circumstances that exist at the time of application that may limit their ability to work in one or more locations in Queensland. Those that apply for special consideration can apply to either the Southeast Corner Group or to an individual regional hospital. So on the left is the Southeast Corner Group, and on the right is the individual hospitals. So again, must be a Group A candidate and have exceptional compassionate grounds or other exceptional reasons that would not cause significant personal or family hardship. An example there that we've got is a major health problem requiring frequent and ongoing highly specialized treatment only available in certain locations. Moving on to joint ticket. So if you're studying with a partner and you want to do your internship at the same hospital, there's a process that you can apply to, and that's called a joint ticket. The eligibility, I should mention, for all these programs, so special consideration, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, and joint ticket, are available on the intern application guide. So there's a little bit more detail. Sorry to go through this quickly, but I've only got 25 minutes, and there's a lot of information. Just a note there that approved joint tickets are not exempt from the ballot process. So you could apply with your partner. You're still subject to the ballot process. If one of you is pulled and moved to your preference of the vacancy, both of you are going. So just keep that in mind. Deferral, there's also an opportunity to apply for a deferral if you wish to do so. And that's deferring your guaranteed offer for 12 months. And there's a bit of paperwork that you'll be required to submit if you are considering that. So some people will defer and maybe get 1 or 2 every campaign. And they might be, so maternity leave's a big one, or they might have a scholarship offer and wish to take that time off. So there's a process. If it's approved, you'll retain your Group A status. Moving on to the applicant group B to D selection process. So there'll be an opportunity this campaign for those. So once group A's have been allocated, there's an opportunity for groups B to D's to jump into their application and look at the position status report and re-preference if they wish to do so. So you might see a facility that has a lot of vacancies, and you might jump into your application and think, okay, I've got a better chance of going to a facility with a lot more vacancies. I'm going to change my preferences. That's my alarm to hurry up. So as part of the selection process, the hospitals will be managing this, and they'll be looking at things like your resume, the application itself, your referee reports, and they'll conduct interviews. So just really briefly, there's a national audit process. It looks at those holding on to multiple offers. So in this example, you can see this candidate received 4 offers. One in Queensland, one in New South Wales, one in Victoria, and one in ACT. I'm very lucky. All that data is crunched by the national audit team. So all the states and territories are feeding data to the national audit team. They'll identify that this candidate is holding on to multiple offers. And they'll contact the candidate and say, look, you've got 48 hours. Which jurisdiction do you want to work at? You'll need to decline the other 3. It's a really good process because it increases visibility of data and information. And what used to happen years ago before it was introduced was that all 4 of those jurisdictions would expect the intern to turn up come January. And of course, they only showed up at one of them. So just a quick note of registration. Obviously, it's a condition that you have some type of registration before you commence with Queensland Health. For any registration inquiries, please contact ARPRA. Just a snapshot of how our campaign website looks like. And you'll be able to apply through the portal. If you need any further information, please refer to the application guide that was published 2 weeks ago. And we've also got a lot of information on our campaign website, or email through any questions or queries to the intern campaign coordinator, Michelle, who's online, via the email intern-recruitment@health.qld.gov.au. Good luck for the rest of medical school. We look forward to hopefully receiving your application for internship in Queensland Health next year. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Shane. Very informative as always. And remember, if you do have any other questions for Shane, please feel free to add them to the Q&A box. I can see that Michelle and others are scurrying away answering lots of questions at the moment. Okay, so now we'll move on to hear from the hospitals. First, we're going to hear from Cairns Hospital. Please welcome Dr. Lada Mantha, who is the Director of Clinical Training, and Dr. Leah Moncrief, who is an intern in Cairns.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leah. I'm one of the current interns at Cairns Hospital and Health Service. I have 5 minutes to tell you about why you should come to Cairns and put it as your first preference. So we'll go to the first slide on the screen. I will start talking about the location. So if you've never been to Cairns, it's a very beautiful area with far north Queensland having wonderful places to visit. I've got lots of images here of places you can go around Cairns. There's lots of beaches, waterfalls, hiking, etc. My interim group here at the moment is very social, and I think having such beautiful surrounds encourages that. It seems that every week we've got a big group chat and there's always plans to go somewhere and explore these areas. So there's always plenty to do here outside of work. And then for the next slide, we're saying to talk about the actual work. So for the rotations, Cairns Hospital is the largest hospital in far north Queensland, and there's lots of surrounding rural hospitals. I've done my first rotation at Cairns ED, and now I'm in Babinda for rural rotation. I found that the Cairns Hospital has a wonderful community of doctors, nurses and other staff. Everyone is always happy to be at work. It's got such a great work culture. At least working in ED, you call lots and lots of specialists for referrals. And not once have I ever gotten someone be rude to me over the phone, never gotten yelled at, not even by the surgeons or the ophthalmologists. Everyone's always really nice, always keen to teach you things, and are very understanding that as in intern year, we're still learning. Then I'm currently in Babinda for rural rotation. It is a small town around an hour south of Cairns. I've got a very broad scope of practice here because there is a GP clinic and ED and med/surge ward all rolled into one. And I basically work with all of them throughout the week. There's always lots of new fun skills to develop in rural, and you get more time to do that, and there's less competition to do procedural skills. So in Babinda has been my first opportunity to help with a real resus. In Cairns ED, you don't really get to do that as an intern, so that was interesting. And then as a part of the Cairns Hospital, RFDS is also a rural rotation, so that seems really fun. And then, yeah, next slide. I wanted to talk about quickly that I identify as an Aboriginal doctor, and I'm very passionate about First Nations health. The Cairns Hospital has around 30% of presentations to the ED are First Nations people. And so it's a really good opportunity to work with First Nations people and learn about preventative health, even in a hospital setting. And it's really supportive as well as an Indigenous doctor. So if there's anyone on here that identifies as First Nations, I would implore you to consider Cairns as an intern location, as it's been really supportive for me here. And I will wrap up there.
Oh, very good. Thanks so much, Leah. Okay, next to present is the Townsville University Hospital. Please welcome Dr. Susanna Bond, who is the Director of Clinical Training, and one of our interns, Dr. Lauren Bosley.
Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, my name's Susanna. I'm a DCT, Director of Clinical Training here in Townsville, and I'm also a psychiatrist clinically. So I'm really keen to encourage you all to strongly consider Townsville for your internship, and I hope I can convince you about why that would be a good idea. So Townsville has got so much to offer from a training perspective because it's actually the largest tertiary referral and retrieval centre in Northern Australia. So what that means for you is that there are so many training opportunities to explore, and that's whether you know your career pathway or you're not sure and you remain uncertain, you're going to get the opportunity to try things out here. We're actually home to 43 different specialty training programs. So that gives you an idea of, or an indication of what kinds of range of opportunities that we can offer. We've also got a 10-strong dedicated education team here in Townsville. So I like to think that we offer really good support to all interns to get them through their internship in a really positive way. And if you've got any issues or problems, we're here and we really want to proactively find out what those are and help you to support to get through your training. And this is all set within this beautiful, livable city. So there's affordable rents, the beautiful setting, easy commutes, nothing's more than 20 minutes away in Townsville. So that really adds to a wonderful lifestyle as well as those amazing training opportunities. Can we have the next slide? So look, I'm not expecting that you're going to read through this long list of different medical specialties, but really the idea is to indicate the real range of opportunities that you can experience from PGY1. So within this list, we've got things like anesthetics, child psychiatry, there's some surgical subspecialties and medical subspecialties there as well, and some great experiences to work in rural terms. The rural facilities are not too far away from Townsville, so they're relatively easy to get to. And they are really well integrated with our health service. So it doesn't really feel like you're leaving the health service. You're still within the same support network and structure. It's just you're going to get that rural generalist experience as well. All right. I'm going to hand over to Lauren now to talk a little bit about her experience. Can we have the next slide?
Hi, everyone. So interning in Townsville has been phenomenal. Like for me, the specialty exposure, I started on neurosurgery and it's a super hands-on supportive culture. So I drilled more than one burr hole, obviously very supervised, but it was incredible. And currently I'm on anesthetics. So it's hands-on every day. I intubate several times a week. I can't recommend it enough. And we have a really supportive med-ed team. They know us by name and they organise meetings with us every so often to check in how we're going and see if there's anything we can do. So we're more than a number. They know us as a person. And we also have an optional mentor program. And so for me, what that looks like is I got matched with a senior registrar in the specialty I'm interested in. And he has met with me regularly and set out what my next few years should look like. We are historically undersubscribed, so we're a very safe preference. And last year, 84% of us got one of our top 5 line allocations, meaning you have a very good chance of getting leave with your friends if that's something you're wanting. We have an active staff society, so we have lots of social events and we recruit intern reps for that every year too. So it's a good opportunity to show leadership. We're affiliated with JCU, so there's teaching opportunities and research opportunities as well. And the logistics of living in Townsville is that my rent is half the price of my friends that moved to the city. I live 2 minutes from the hospital and I get free parking. So it's phenomenal. And Townsville as a city, there's lots to do. We're 4 hours south of Cairns, 3 hours north of Airlie Beach, and have Magnetic Island across the ocean. And within the city, we've got lots of beautiful hikes and social events to visit.
Great, thanks, Lauren. That's it from us.
Great, thank you very much, Susanna and Lauren. Okay, now we'll move south to Mackay Base Hospital. Please welcome Dr. Alex McLaren, who is the Director of Clinical Training, and intern Dr. Zachary Hunt.
Hello everyone, so my name is Zach. I'm one of the junior doctors in Mackay Hospital and Health Service. So I thought I'd start off by telling you why I picked Mackay when I kind of finished med school. So I first kind of started, I am from Mackay originally, and my last 2 years of medical school were both based through Mackay Base Hospital. Through that kind of experience, through the end of my med school time, I started to realize how great some of the teams were there, how supportive some of the supervisors were, and how much hands-on experience you could get. And so that's why when I kind of was choosing an intern spot, I thought, why not just stay in Mackay and kind of continue that experience? Now, through the start of my internship, I would say that that has continued and I've had great rotation so far. So I started on a general practice rotation, which was quite unique to Mackay. And through that, I had great supervision. I got lots of hands-on experience. I got to run my own consults with the supervision of a senior GP, which was very helpful for my first rotation as an intern. And currently I'm at Proserpine ED, which I'm finding is also absolutely great. I'm finding that there's lots of support from supervisors. All the consultants here have been absolutely lovely. And anything that I want to try here, they're more than happy to help me through it and get me hands-on. I'll hand over to Alex for the rest of the Mackay presentation.
Thanks, Zach. If we go next slide. So I think a key to coming and staying in regional centres is that you will make a difference. You're going to be part of a smaller system, part of a smaller cohort, and there'll be plenty of chances for you to get hands-on and make a difference in your patients' lives. You won't be just the person standing at the back of the wall round very quietly. You will be part of a system that needs you and needs your efforts, and you will be very well supervised and very well taught. But you will make a difference and you will see a lot more from your patients. There's lots of generalist training opportunities here in Mackay. We're a relatively large regional centre, but you're only part of a cohort of 38. So it's a great chance for you to accelerate your career, get into your career pathway you're hoping for faster, and have really good relationships with your supervisors and consultants who will know you by name, who will get you very much involved and will be invested in accelerating and advancing your career. I just want to put hands up for the North Queensland crew that we do live in a beautiful place. We get 200 more hours of sunshine in a year than our Southeast Queensland friends. Sydney's the same, and we get 600 more hours of sunshine than Melbourne. So why are you going to move south when you can have a beautiful place to live up here? And the other one, just for us smaller regional guys, is just remember, we're always probably going to be undersubscribed, and you don't have to roll the dice in the ballot. We'd love for you to come, whether you're a couple or you just don't want to risk, you're going to want to make a cohort of friends and know exactly where you're going. Come to a small centre, come somewhere like Mackay. We will value you, we will look after you, and we will help you achieve your goals in medicine. So remember us and put us down as number one, or if not, you want to roll the dice number one and down south, put us as number two. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, Alex and Zach. That was fantastic. Okay, now the Wide Bay Hospital and Health Service is the next to present, and they consist of two primary allocation hospitals, Hervey Bay and Bundaberg. Please welcome from Hervey Bay, Dr. John Inderhog, who is the Director of Clinical Training, and Dr. Shaylee Poole. And then from Bundaberg Hospital, please welcome Leanne Tobin, who is a Medical Education Officer, and Dr. Chris Edwards.
Hi, how are you? My name is Dr. John Ender. I'm Director of Clinical Training, and I just actually want to introduce Shaylee, who's going to start and just a bit of a chat with you.
Yeah, so I'm one of the interns at Hervey Bay this year. So just to get started, Hervey Bay is sort of a large regional hospital, about 209 beds at the moment, but it's growing all the time. Recent new ward has been opened and it's got another one getting built at the moment. Because it's regional, you get a really wide variety of patient bases. So on your ward rounds, you go from a cardio patient to a respiratory patient to a renal patient. It's really, really good exposure. Everybody's very, very friendly and supportive. I felt so good in my first rotation, now second rotation, the intern year, that I can always ask a question, get support, knock on somebody's door, send an email. It's really, really good. The next slide, please. The intern cohort is quite small, which is nice because you have a bit of an inbuilt group of friends straight away. You get to know everybody very quickly and there's a really good support network there. One thing that I really liked was it's really good rotation availability for your first year, things like anesthetics and O&G. It's just really, really good. We have a fantastic JMS here as well that's very helpful every time I've reached out. They've been so lovely. They run a lot of social events, which is really good. And then in terms of Hervey Bay itself, we can pop to the next slide. It's a fantastic location. By the time I finish work, I can be home walking on the beach within like 10, 15 minutes. It's a really great way to wind down. The airport here is now doing direct flights to Melbourne and Sydney, which is really good. It's a very easy drive down to the sunny coast and just a little bit further down to get to Brisbane as well. So I've absolutely loved my start here and I would really highly recommend it.
Thank you. Look, I just want to end on an anecdote. So I was talking to one of the interns just finishing the end of term one assessments, and she listened to this talk that we gave last year and didn't really believe it because it sounded, you know, just, well, too good to be true. She was very pleasantly surprised when she came up here and also when she talked to her other friends who stayed down in Brisbane. And, you know, you are also welcome to have that experience here. You will be very well looked after and you will have a fantastic internship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Chris Edwards. I'm one of the, sorry, turn my camera on. I'm the Acting Director of Clinical Training here in Bundaberg, and I've got Leanne Tobin with me, who is our Principal Medical Education Officer. Can I go to the first or next slide, please? We have 19 intern positions here in Bundaberg Hospital, 5 of which are rural generalist positions. And so again, we have quite a small cohort of junior doctors, which means that we can provide really good wraparound service and support to our interns. We also have additional 16 private health stream positions, which is a different application process. We offer, our rotations in PGY1 are, as you can see, they're quite broad generalist rotations, meaning that you'll get a really good general exposure and experience in all of the rotations that you undertake. We do have some, as you move through into PGY2, some more of the subspecialty rotations that we do offer, and you can stay here in Bundaberg and start your specialty training for some specialties. Next slide, please. We here in Bundaberg really pride ourselves in being able to tailor the learning experience to interns and junior doctors. The rotational, because we're such a small or have such a small cohort of interns, we can customize your rotations with 100% of our junior doctors getting their first rotation preference, and we're also able to, that was last year, and we're also able to ensure that you're getting your leave at the times that you would prefer. We have mentor programs, we provide lots of career education, and there's lots of practical workshops, and we also, because you do have an opportunity to be able to advance your career quite quickly with principal house officer roles and positions coming up that some of our PGY 2s and 3s are able to step up into quickly. Next slide, please. We also really pride ourselves on our wellbeing and support programs. The AMA does a resident hospital health check every year, and Bundaberg Hospital came out as the best performing hospital in Queensland, really showing that we do support and are able to support our junior doctors really, really well. Next slide, please. So why choose Bundaberg Hospital? Because we offer a really personalised experience. We value your preferences in rotations and leave. We will prioritise your well-being. We're a friendly, community-orientated hospital and very supportive for our interns. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leanne, Chris, and John and Shaylee. All right, now we'll move on to Rockhampton Hospital. Please welcome Dr. Gemma Taylor, the Associate Director of the Medicine Department, and also intern Dr. Max Gambling.
Hello, so I'm Gemma, this is Max. As Andrew just said, I'm the Acting Director of Specialty Medicine in Central Queensland and an infectious diseases physician. This is Max, one of our current interns. So over to you.
I'll go from here. So why Rocky? I mean, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Rocky growing up here, but like lots of these places here, Rocky is actually quite a stunning place. Got some beautiful islands off the coast. Got lots of beautiful national parks. If you like to be outdoors, it's a good place to be. Lots of four-wheel drive tracks, hiking tracks, biking places. Also, there's heaps of other fun things to do in town. We've got the largest indoor rodeo in the Southern Hemisphere. Definitely worth coming to, even if you're not in Rocky. I'd make the drive. There's also lots of sort of fun events. It's also just a bit of a smaller town. You get to know everyone. You actually have a bit of a sense of community, which you won't get in a big city. Not trying to talk badly about them, but everyone will sort of know you outside of the hospital, which is quite nice as well. Yeah, can I go to the next slide for me? From a hospital point of view, so Rocky's sort of your main hub here, but you also have opportunities to go to Gladstone, Yeppoon, Emerald and Theodore, which are all sort of within about 40 minutes to 2 hours. You'll get put up there, you don't have to worry about getting yourself there. Lots of specialties. Obviously, it's not quite as subspecialised as some of the big centres, so you get a lot more exposure to things. So, so your gen surge is a lot less subspecialised. As an intern here, so it's about 30 of us. So, you get a lot more hands-on here. It's a bit like being in a rural term. There's not a million people and training programs in front of you waiting to do things. I've just come off ED, and been able to put in chest tubes and art lines and intubate people in research situations because there's not, 10 or 20 people trying to become registrars to get those signed off before you, which is quite nice. And then, and I guess also, you can go rurally. It's a great place for the rural generalist training as well. But yeah, I've got nothing but good things to say about Rocky.
Alrighty, next slide, please. So I thought, as opposed to Max, I'm not from Central Queensland. I'm actually from Melbourne. I'm very much a city girl, born and bred. And I've come from doing all of my training in tertiary referral centres in a big hospital city, and then doing my PhD at the University of Melbourne, which is again, big established area. I started locuming up here 2 years ago, and I've really just fallen in love with it. The weather is pretty hard to beat. It's much more sunny and lovely than Southeast Queensland without the risk of cyclones that you get a bit further north. The beaches are amazing. That's a photo of Whopper, also known as Great Keppel Island, which is pretty exciting if you're a boatie like I am. There's a really small group of doctors up here, and we actually know each other and we support each other and talk to each other, which is really lovely. As I said, I've got a PhD. I'm just doing my PhD. There's lots of research opportunities with 2 universities in our area. So that's UQ and also Central Queensland University. For me, coming from down south, the opportunity to be involved in First Nations health is really exciting here, and there's lots of opportunities to be really involved and actually make a difference with people's lives. We consider ourselves to be an excellent rural generalist training site. So if that's an area that you're considering going down, we have lots of opportunities to extend skills for rural generalists. And you actually get to make a real difference in people's lives in Central Queensland. There's lots of opportunities for improvement, lots of opportunities for intervening for patients in their lives. And, I meet people in the supermarket who give you a hug. So that's pretty hard to beat. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. That was Gemma and Max. Good to hear from you. And now we'll move to Toowoomba Hospitals, and please welcome Dr. Hartford Murdoch, who is a Registrar in Medical Education, and Junior Doctor, Dr. Julia Boates.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the introduction. My name is Hart. I'm the Medical Education Registrar. I'm an emergency trainee here at Toowoomba. Welcome to go on to the next slide whenever you're ready. I'm also a former Group C candidate who was absolutely treated as a first-class person here at Toowoomba, and have made my home here over the last few years. Julia is one of our PGY2 doctors who will talk to you in a minute. We're on Jagera, Guyabal, and Jarwar people's lands today, and our main interest is recruiting for retention. We're really interested in looking for people who think that they're the right fit to stay here long-term, and we're recruiting for long-term colleagues. That's what I'm here to talk to you guys about. I'd really like to try and find some people who agree that Toowoomba is a great place to be, and who can really flourish in our area. Please check the brochure for rotations if you need to look at the specific things you can do here, but we'd like to tell you a little bit about Toowoomba in general. Go ahead and go on to the next slide. Thank you. We've got one large major rural regional referral center with 3 medium-sized training rural hubs around us. We provide care to over 300,000 people annually, and we've got 11 smaller rural sites around us with lots of opportunity for care for those people. For example, I'm an ASIM trainee, but I also work as a casual senior medical officer at one of our small rural sites. So even if you're not a generalist at heart, there's lots of opportunity for generalist skills. Big positives here at Toowoomba are the landscape and its variety and very short commutes. My partner and I joke that we're never more than 8 minutes away from anything, but somehow we still have a large shopping center, a Bunnings, and everything you could want. We're family friendly. We've got tight-knit medical staff with rural rotations for BPT and surgical training, large critical care service with close relationships with a large life flight base. We're an ACRIM and RSCGP hub with opportunity for regional and rural fractional employment. We've got a full range of mental health service, and you can complete all of your mental health training at Toowoomba. We've got subspecialty surgical service. The negatives that you need to know is that you can't surf here, but if you don't care about surfing and you own at least one jumper, Toowoomba is the place to be.
So my name's Julia. I'm a PGY2 doctor this year, and it's my 4th year in Toowoomba. So I did my 3rd and 4th year of med school here through UQ. Then I did my internship here, and I've stayed on for another rotational year and probably looking to stay next year as well. I'm hoping to probably step up to a PHO role, which is exciting. This year I'm also the RMO Society president, so I just wanted to plug our socials a little bit as well. have our end of term drinks every term and really try and include not only our junior doctors, but also our allied health people in that community, which is really nice to just form those bonds with the people you're working with and not just your fellow doctors. We host a ball every year as well, which is a lot of fun. And altogether, I think we've just got a really good group of people out here. And yeah, we're keen to have some of you guys join us next year. Thanks.
Send me an email if you've got any questions. Tight-knit group, and we'd like to see some of you here next year.
Okay, great. Thank you, Hartford and Julia. Okay, now we'll hear from the Sunshine Coast University Hospital. Please welcome Dr. Thi Ung, Director of Clinical Training, and also Dr. Alison Roper, Director of Medical Services Workforce.
Hi, everyone. We're very excited to talk to you about Sunshine Coast tonight. It's a great place to come. Sunshine Coast, as everyone knows, is a beautiful place. It's only an hour north of Brisbane, but we've got everything you need without all the busyness of Brisbane. So there's beaches, beautiful hinterland, the weather's great. But aside from that, we've got a great experience at our hospital. We have a really good choice of intern rotations and PGY2 rotations. We give 2-year contracts to our interns, so for job security, they can stay on for that 2-year period and hopefully long term. We've got modern facilities, fabulous culture, and a very active Junior Doctor Society group. We also, from a practical sense, offer support with relocation to our interns, and will help support through the onboarding process as well. So there's no reason not to come. I'm just going to hand over to Thi, who's one of our directors of clinical training, to talk a bit more about the education, and then I'll come back and give you some information about our own webinar that we're running for prospective interns. Thi, over to you.
Thank you, Alison. We have a very dedicated and very passionate medical education unit in Sunshine Coast. We have 6 medical education officers, 1 currently on maternity leave, but we have 5. That means that they look after each individual's interns really well. So we have 2 hours of protective intern teaching on Tuesday. One is more sort of general. The first hour is more general topic, and the second hour is the small group sessions and tailored to the rotations that you are in. So very bespoke educations program for you guys, and at the end of the education programs every week you will have a chance to catch up with either with Dr. Ropers or us, the 2 director of clinical trainings. If you have any issues, so we have weekly intern drop-in sessions to catch up with us. On top of that, medical education officers will always available for your unit to talk. So we know you really well. So although we are at big our hospitals, it's referral centers, however, we have this small community feel, and the cultures is really good. So you will find it's really both lifestyle wise or the training purpose, nothing that can that you will not be satisfied with the Sunshine Coast health service. So, and our retention rate for the internship to PGY2 is more than 90%. And so please come to Sunshine Coast, that we would like to see you. Over back to Dr. Roper, please.
Thank you. We just go to the next slide, please. So we are running our own webinar because we can then be sort of more interactive, and you can shout out and ask questions. If you'd like to join us, the details are on the intern campaign website. There's some flyers and other things there, or you can join through the QR code shown here. One of our commonest questions is around category B to D interns, and I would just urge you to use your personal statement to explain why you'd like to come to the Sunshine Coast. That really helps us when we're shortlisting, and we do have spots for category B to D interns too. I think that's everything. We look forward to seeing you at our webinar. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Alison and Thi. That was fantastic. All right, now we're going to move down to Caboolture Hospital, and we would like to welcome Dr. Gunjan Chawla, who's the Associate Director of Clinical Training, and Tamara Sandifer, who's the Senior Medical Education Officer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gunjan Chawla, DCT and staff anaesthetist here, and I've got with me Tamara, who's our Principal Medical Education Officer. Over to Tamara to start our presentation.
So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Caboolture. We have a wonderful shiny new building at Caboolture, which we just opened last year, which has been very exciting for us, with the new emergency department, new operating theatres, new ICU, and some wonderful new wards for people to work in. We are very conveniently located halfway between Brisbane and the sunny coast, which is amazing if you wish to avoid all of the traffic in either direction. It is absolutely wonderful. The hospital is very close to the highway and very easy to get to. We have a couple of teams that will support you on our journey. So in the medical education unit, we have an open door policy. We specifically try to support your needs. We like to make sure that we're checking in on you. You're not a number, you are a person. We get to know you. We get to know things about you. We get to try and match your experience that you have at Caboolture to the training and the needs of your career trajectory, which is super important to both us and yourselves. We also like to make sure that we are regularly providing and offering feedback to our teams from our interns and from our PGY2s to make sure that we are improving rotations and experiences for them. We also have a fantastic medical workforce unit. They will move mountains for people to help them have a wonderful experience. We make sure that we roster leave very, very generously to people when they want it and need it. We also thoroughly enjoy hearing people's stories about the weddings they got to go to or the trips they got to go on because they got to have their leave when they wanted to.
Yeah, all they have to do is give us an invitation. Yeah, the only thing to add there would be that being a medium-sized hospital, we are about 300, just over 300 beds. We are able to tailor make things to individual interns. So you're not a number for us. We take into consideration your preferences for allocations. You're not a line that we have to allocate to someone. Go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so we've got a variety of allocations. Allocations are all outlined there. For PGY1, we give you really good grounding with rotations through critical care specialties, surgery, ONG, pediatrics, mental health, also some subspecialties like palliative care and cardiology. Then there are additional allocations because we're hoping you'll stay on for the PGY2 year. So merit-based selection for the education RMO role, and then crit care pathway and extended rotations in mental health and ONG up to 6 months. So like I said, we tailor make your intern experience to whatever your personal interest is, and the allocations take your preferences and your career choices. So 95% of our 2025 interns got allocated their first or second preference, and at least 2 of their top 5 preferred allocations. Our orientation that we run for you is a comprehensive week-long orientation, and it includes a full day of ALS training, which makes you much more confident when you take on the wards. You get a chance to shadow former interns, and then there are practical hands-on sessions, say by pharmacy, and you also get one-on-one time with our MAU team in that first or second week to help your transition into the workforce. Next slide, please.
So similarly to other places, we have a wonderful mentoring program that's run through our MEU where we like to connect people to near peers, usually to registrars or SHOs that are already starting on training programs, PHOs as well. We offer regular career guidance through both of our education sessions weekly. We offer it through one-on-one interaction and opportunities for CV building as well. We have 2 hours of protected teaching time each week. We run a foundation program on Tuesdays and we run an extension program on Fridays. We also like to make sure that we use our wonderful simulation center and simulation team to provide hands-on scenarios, which is fantastic. And we find that because we are that smaller hospital, we have lots of informal and formal education that happens within each department because people are there getting hands-on experiences and being involved in the opportunities that are presented to them. Finally, one of the things that we often hear is we do have a research program that we offer at Caboolture, and a lot of our interns and PGY2 doctors get involved in that pretty early on.
Thank you.
Great.
Oh yeah, we do have our own intern webinar in June, so do reach out to the MEU or the CAB MEO email for information on that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gunjan and Tamara. Okay, next to present is the Redcliffe Hospital. Please welcome Kirsten Mitchell, who is the Medical Workforce Coordinator, and also Junior Doctor, Dr. Jack Graham.
Hi everyone, I will be super brief before handing over to Dr. Graham to share his experience at Redcliffe Hospital. Just a few points I'd like to share with you is for the last few years we have been undersubscribed with Category A candidates, so leaving a great opportunity for Category B to D candidates. Our interns are not rostered to evening ward call until term 3, and all interns complete a shadowing shift prior to this. IEMR will have been in place for 2 years by the time you join the Redcliffe team. We have dedicated SHO roles in crit care, O&G, paediatrics, orthopedics, urology that are only offered to JHOs working at Redcliffe Hospital. Leave for JHOs and SHOs is not allocated, and you can apply to take whenever you like. You're more than welcome to join one of our education sessions and come along to meet some of our junior doctors. We also offer 1 to 3 year contracts. My contact details are available on the FAQs if you wanted to send an email. Over to Dr. Graham.
Thanks, Kirsten. So yeah, my name's Jack. I'm a JHO at Redcliffe Hospital. This is actually my 4th year there, having done both my clinical years of med school based at Redcliffe. Look, I can say a lot of good things about Redcliffe. It's a really good general basis, I think, as a junior doctor. You know, general medicine is very general. It's not really that subspecialized. You're managing a lot of conditions and you get quite good at bread and butter medicine. But then you do also have the opportunities for more subspecialized experience. So we can do ICU terms as an intern, O&G in terms, peds and anesthetics as a JHO. So you do still get that broad range of experience. Redcliffe, I think, is quite a Goldilocks hospital. Kind of all the good things people have mentioned about other hospitals all apply to Redcliffe. So it's near Brisbane, and it is possible to live in Brisbane and drive to Redcliffe. I live in Brisbane and it's a 25-minute drive against the traffic. I never have traffic going to work. There are waterfront views from the hospital, but it also has that rural feel where it's a small group of interns. It's a smaller hospital, so you know people by name. The med-reg you're referring to, you are their intern, so it's never a difficulty referring people. It's such a nice place to be. And as Kirsten said, it's usually undersubscribed, so it's a pretty safe bet if you're putting it as your first preference. There's a lot of opportunities to step up, really approachable consultants. There is some overtime. It's always paid. I have never had a problem claiming my overtime. And we have a really supportive med workforce unit who, again, know you by name, will check in with you. There is nothing ever too much to ask of them. Some non-medical things that I think are important. So there is street parking that is free and available. If you do want to live near the hospital, rent is generally cheaper than living in Brisbane. But like I said, you can live in Brisbane and be at work in under 30 minutes with no traffic. There's waterfront views, like I said. It's good coffee across the road. You can see there's a photo of me and some of the other doctors and nurses in ED with some chicken nuggets we got at 3:30 from the McDonald's that's literally a minute down the road. There's a GYG, and there's our own NRL team with Jersey Fridays. So look, I got to wrap up, but essentially, you know, this is my 4th year at Redcliffe. A lot of people who come to Redcliffe want to stay here, and I think, you know, it's pretty obvious why. So come to Redcliffe.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Kirsten. All right, now we'll move over to the Prince Charles Hospital. Please welcome Dr. Helen Vickery-Smith, who is the Director of Clinical Training, and also Dr. Rachel Park, a Medical Administration RMO.
Hi, welcome to the Prince Charles Hospital. So my name is Dr. Helen Vickery-Smith. I'm the Director of Clinical Training. I'm also a Specialist Medical Administrator. So the Prince Charles Hospital is a 700-bed inner-city major tertiary teaching hospital. It's got excellent training opportunities. So we're the premier cardiac service for Queensland and Northern New South Wales. We're a hub for statewide programs. So we've got the heart and lung transplant teams here. We've also got the Indigenous cardiac and respiratory outreach program. We've got adult and children emergency medicine here, and we've also got pediatrics. So if you're keen to do pediatrics, we can give you a good chance of getting pediatric experience. Then we've also got general medicine and general surgery, as well as mental health. We've got a strong education program, so we really focus on it being delivered by senior clinicians who have an interest in education. We've got a PGY1 and also a PGY2 formal education program, when we try to do lots of sims and skills within those programs. In terms of location, it's pretty close to Brisbane CBD, so 10 kilometres, easy access to the city. So if you do want to live in any of those cool spots in the city, it's a really easy commute to get here. But there's also beautiful green suburbs around in northern Brisbane. We're also just an hour from the sunny coast and the Gold Coast, so easy to visit during weekends and days off. So it's a really great spot, whatever your lifestyle and interests. Can we go to the next slide? So Charlie's is really all about the 3 C's, so connection, compassion, and celebration. It's a pretty big hospital, but it still has that family feel. We've got a cohort of 50 interns, so it's growing, but still pretty small. So we really give you that personalized experience. We're very keen on celebrating. So we have a mid and end of year celebration. And we've also got Charlie's Week, which you'll hear lots about if you come here. I'm going to hand over to Rachel now. So Rachel Park is one of our PGY2 doctors, but she completed her internship here last year. So she'll be able to tell you exactly what it's like.
Yeah, thanks, Helen. So yes, I completed my internship here last year, really enjoyed it, found it to be really well supported, and I've loved living in North Brisbane on Turrbal country. So really enjoying it. I moved down here. One of the benefits of Prince Charles is that you are provided support to relocate if you are living elsewhere. So that makes the move a lot easier. We also have 2-year contracts, so that gives you time to really settle in without having to reapply for your job after just a couple of months. Our cohort's pretty small, but we're quite social, and most people end up staying beyond internships, so you'll see lots of familiar faces around. With that small cohort of interns, you get a lot of support from your seniors, including the specialists who you work with, the medical administrators, and also the medical education team. And there's lots of opportunity for leadership skills, development, research, professional networking, and also joining special interest groups. So really good for your CV development. At our weekly intern teaching, your phones are diverted, so it's very much protected, and you also get lunch provided, which is great. We've got a strong emphasis on Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health in our teaching, and we're also building further supports for our First Nations doctors. So overall, great experience, flexible working arrangements. Our rostered leave is fairly well allocated, and you're paid all of your overtime. So we'd really recommend coming to Charlie's, and we hope to see you guys next year.
Hey, thanks, Helen and Rachel. Now we're going to move over to Royal Brisbane Women's Hospital, and we'd like to welcome Brad Avkin, the Manager of Medical Workforce, and also Dr. Ali Wilson, who's a Junior House Officer.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Just want to talk about the Royal Brisbane Hospital, our Seymour team, which is our Centre for Medical Officer Recruitment and Education, is a combined team. So we work closely between the medical workforce teams as well as the education team to give the best possible experience for all our junior doctors. We offer 2-year contracts to include your intern year, so you can get your general reg plus also your PGY 2-year, and all the allocations for those are via line preferencing, which will meet the framework to get your certificate of completion for your PGY 2-year. At the hospital, we have over 40 specialty and subspecialty terms available to meet your needs of what career direction you want to go to. And in our PGY 3-year, we have some special terms available, long-term terms available for doctors. We have our various leave options, which is a continual body of work that we're trying to make as flexible as possible for everybody that does join our hospital. And we also have some PGY 1 and 2 protected teaching time in the hospital. I have Ali with us, who is our PGY 2 doctor. I'll pass over to Ali if we can have the next slide, please.
Thank you, Brad. Hey, everyone. My name's Ali, and I'm a junior house officer here at Royal, and this is my second year here. So firstly, about the campus itself, it's an amazing facilities being at Royal. I think most people know about our Doctor's Lounge, which is also called the Qantas Lounge. And whilst we do joke about that, it is actually a core place for meeting for all the teams, where from consultant to med students, you might do your post-board round chat and debrief, have coffee, have discussions about research opportunities, which start from day one as an intern. We have weekly morning teas in the Doctor's Lounge where our MEU comes up and checks in with us. And I know it is a big hospital, but they do also know us by name, and they're always willing to reach out, send us a message and see how we're going. With that, we have a very active RMO society, and from the education side of things, we do training sessions in terms of like airway management, marina and implant insertion, as well as career guidance. And this is available. There are PGY2 workshops that are available for interns to attend to. Another great part is RMO society is very social. So we have end of term drinks, obviously at the end of each term. We have end of year resident drinks as well. We have a ball with the PA hospital, and there's multiple opportunities to catch up. And just the next slide, please. Another amazing thing about the Royal is that because it has pretty much every subspecialty, there's fantastic exposure as an intern. Day 2, I was in resus in ED helping manage some chest pain patients. Week 5, I was helping manage trauma alerts by myself. Obviously, you are supported in those environments, and it's a fantastic opportunity to upskill quickly. There's also opportunities as PGY2 to have 6 to 12-month rotations in orthopedics and O&G, as well as mental health extended placements as well. The beauty of the Royal is we do have clinical research and medical administration terms from PGY2 if that is your interest. And there's opportunities to join the committees like the RMO Society, Medical Education Unit, and more committees that are associated with Queensland Health and AMAQ, like the Junior Medical Officer Forum of Queensland. Just wanted to summarise by saying Royal is a very supportive environment. The consultants do still remember us by name even a year on, and whilst it is very complex patient because it is a large receiving centre, it's very supported in terms of your upskilling and relations between other teams. And thank you also to Queensland Health, who continuously every year do an amazing opportunity with the intern campaign. Thank you very much. And if you have questions, please reach out to our Seymour medical workforce.
Great, thanks so much, Brad and Ellie. That was great. I'd like to now welcome Dr. Aleri Carrar, Director of Medical Services, and also Dr. Callum Thompson, a Junior House Officer at the Ipswich Hospital. And not to embarrass you, but Callum was actually the 2024 Intern of the Year. So congratulations, Callum.
Thank you. He's probably regretting getting that award because we asked him to do an awful lot of stuff. So hi everybody, I'm Aleri, the Director of Medical Services for Westmoreton. So we're a large outer metropolitan health service, about 45 minutes from Brisbane, from sort of central Brisbane, West End. Ipswich Hospital is our main facility. We have 4 rural hospitals as well, and then some other large facilities, one of which will be opening later on this year, which is a subacute hospital at Ripley. We also have a significant number of prisons under our health service, and also a very large mental health service, including statewide mental health services. One of the really exciting things about Westmoreton is that we are growing significantly. So our population is doubling by 2036. And because of that, we need to actually build a lot of new infrastructure. So I mentioned already, we've got a new hospital opening at Ripley later on this year. And we're also currently building our new 200-bed acute services tower, which includes a new emergency department, new ICU, and new cardiac services. So it's an exciting place to be, but we also have some of the lowest socioeconomic status population in Queensland. We also have a significant First Nations population and refugee population. So that what that means is that we see late pathology. It's really quite varied, and the breadth of experience that you'll get working at Ipswich is actually really significant. So that's one of the things that we really support, but it also makes for interesting medicine for your time here. The other thing for me that keeps me working at Westmorton is our sense of community. So Ipswich and its surrounds is a generational community. People have lived there for years and years and generations, and a lot of our staff fall into that category too. So there's such a sense of our service to the community, which, because it's a defined area, we don't have people coming in from elsewhere. So you really do get that sense of who you're connected to and who you're serving. But the hospital itself also has a really good community, a really good culture. People are very supportive. So we would love to see you join that community. You can go on to the next slide. Thank you. So we have all of the main training opportunities in terms that you would expect, and I will just move on to the next slide as well. A very large medical education team, so 2 medical education officers, a nurse educator who's going to be responsible for our simulation training portfolio, as well as a 4-day-a-week DCT and 2 admin officers. So there's always someone there to support you. We also have 2 education sessions per week and have mapped out all of the education sessions across the health service that you also have access to. So I'll hand over to Callum to talk about what it's like to be an intern and junior doctor at Ipswich.
Hey guys, I'm Callum. I'm one of the JHOs at Ipswich this year. I was intern there last year, and I also did my 4th year in Ipswich, so it's 3 years of experience there now. I think the biggest thing for Ipswich, and the reason I've stayed on, is that it's kind of the perfect size. So it's small enough that it has a lot of the benefits that I think a lot of our rural colleagues would have talked about, from a rural hospital where, you know, you have smaller sort of numbers of doctors that you're fighting off to try and do all these opportunities and procedures and things that you want to do. But at the same time, it's big enough that you have quite a wide range of pathology that you see. And as O'Leary said, you do have quite advanced pathology that you often see. Just to quickly give you some practical points, it's a really good culture in terms of the workforce. You're always encouraged to claim your overtime, and it's always paid. It's easily accessible from Brisbane. You're going against the traffic, there's parking on site. And it's quite a safe preference as well. So if you do want to stay in the southeast and be able to commute to work, it's a very safe option, and it'll give you sort of a lot of the benefits you would get of going rural, but also staying, you know, in the metropolitan area. All right, I'll pass off now.
Thanks, Callum. So look, we really encourage you to preference Ipswich. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much, Larry and Callum. Now we'll move over to the Redlands Hospital, and please welcome Dr. Vanessa Whiting, who is the Director of Clinical Training, and also Mita Palmer, who is a Principal Medical Education Officer.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, fantastic. Hi, I'm Vanessa Whiting. I'm the Acting Clinical Director of Training at Redlands. I'm also one of the ED FACEMs there. What's great about coming to Redlands? There are so many things. It's a lovely urban hospital, which is 30 minutes east of Brisbane. So it's got the benefit of travelling against the traffic to get to work. The other good things are the people. It's a nice small community, and you will love coming to work every day at Redlands. It's really a home away from home. It has because of the community, it's got a smaller staff basis. But it is a growing hospital, quite a generalist feel. We've got lots of hands-on bread and butter medicine, and we are also a growing hospital with the addition of an ICU opening later this year, 6 beds ICU, 6 beds HDU. We are fully IEMR, and we also run a very comprehensible PGY formal education program. You're very well supported as an intern and PGY2 at Redlands, and we have an open door policy at the medical education unit. Next year, we will be attracting 15 interns, and we are also offering 2-year contracts for that job security. Because we have only 15 interns, we know our staff very well by name, and it's a really nice family feel. It's a beautiful place to live, Redlands and Bayside, if you choose to actually come and live in the area. We're just a stone's throw away from Stratty. You can just do next slide, please. Stradbroke Island for getaways. And we also have lots of different things on offer for really bread and butter, hands-on generalist experience. As you can see there, we've got general medicine, general surgery, orthopedics, emergency medicine. We've got mental health, obstetrics and gynae, anaesthetics, pediatrics as well. And in your second year, we can offer things like medical specialties, palliative care, cardio and respiratory. So you get a really nice generalist experience. And we do have wonderful support from our consultants who are really hands-on and do great one-on-one teaching. So it's a really lovely place to work. A lot of people don't live locally but love coming to work. So it's again one of those Goldilocks places. It's not far from the city, and it's got that great urban feel without being, you know, big tertiary, get swallowed up kind of feel. Next slide, please. So yes, we would love for you to contact us if you're very interested. You know, there may not be, as we only have 15 spots, it may be quite competitive. So definitely get in contact, and if you want to know more about us. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa and Mita. And last but certainly not least, we will hear from the Logan Hospital. Please welcome Dr. Felicity Jensen, who is the Deputy Director of Medical Services, and also Kate Oliver, the Manager of Medical Workforce.
Thanks very much. And I realise that we're the last in the queue. Firstly, just thanks to the Department of Health and also to the Queensland Rural Training Hub for allowing us and all the hospitals to present. I recognise that there's a level of competition between all the HHSs, but if you're thinking of going interstate, you really should put Queensland first, because we have, you know, much better working conditions compared to the other states and territories. So why Logan Hospital? It's a very supportive work environment. We provide weekly education sessions for interns and a variety of specialty terms. We were the first hospital in Queensland to celebrate Doctors' Day, and I think, in fact, the first in Australia. We tend to have 42 intern positions. This last year, we've had 45, so we do have a little bit of flexibility. There's research and audit opportunities, so we have a research coordinator. We've made a consistent effort to provide opportunities to junior doctors who want to embark on their research journey, and we have links to Griffith University. There are career mentors and great supervisors who really get to know you and what your career aspirations are. You can get involved in local committees. There's medical staff luncheons, and we also have cultural events. In terms of accreditation, so we were the first in Queensland to get PMAQ, PGY 1 and 2 accreditation, and we're also undergoing a $1 billion expansion. So we will be as big as PA in about 2026, 27, and we've commenced part of that expansion now. We're fully digital. We have a new medical centre that's opening across the road, which will be Meadowbrook Health Centre, and we also have a satellite hospital. So this is a list of the intern accredited terms, which would be available for you during your intern year. We have really good retention rates. We like to give you a supportive year and then help you continue on as the JHO, SHO. And then the last slide, I think, is, thank you, is really just locations. So we're sort of in between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So, for example, I live in Brisbane, Kate lives in Logan. It's really accessible. We're about 35 k's from Brisbane CBD, 45 from the Gold Coast. If you want to live in the city, have theatre life, shopping, cultural activities, you can catch the train or get a car. If you don't like traffic, live locally. And then if you want to go for a surf, go to the beach. We've got lots of emergency physicians who spend half their time on a surfboard and the other half at hospitals. So we really encourage you to preference us, and we look forward to working with you. Thanks.
Kate, do you have anything? No, you're good? Okay. Thank you for... Sorry, Kate.
I was going to say, I can just add there is relocation support available to the interns, and the medical workforce unit will provide great support with the onboarding process of the interns as well as the allocations. We work really hard to provide the best training for the interns and get the best rotations for them that we can.
Great, thanks, Kate, and thanks, Felicity, also. Thank you to everyone for such fantastic presentations, and everyone stuck to time really good, so thank you so much. It's great to hear what makes where you live and work unique, and it's hopefully provided further insight and information for medical students determining their preferences for the upcoming campaign. As Felicity mentioned, it is very competitive, but as long as you choose a Queensland facility, that would. We are now opening the floor to questions from the audience. There have been lots of questions coming in as the webinar has been running, so we'll choose to answer so that we can hear from some of the participants in the webinar, but we'll also questions that were asked prior to the webinar. So as I mentioned at the start of the webinar, we may not be able to, questions that were asked today, but we will be able to send you a copy of all questions asked with the relative in the next couple of days, along with a recording of the webinar. So we might just start. Will we have access to the recording as the question? Yes, which I just answered. So we will send that to everyone who registered, and it will also be up on the NQRTH website. So I'll just have a look, and feel free for anyone on the panel tonight to jump in and answer some of the questions. But a few questions that we've actually had tonight, now that Bond University has a mid-year intake, is I'm a Bond student who will be graduating mid-year in 2026. What can you tell me regarding mid-year internships, and will I be treated as a Cat A in the Cat A category?
Thanks, Andrea. Do you want me to answer that one?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Shane.
So thanks for the question. I mentioned in my presentation that the bond mid-year was incorporated into last year's campaign as the first year. And so if you are a domestic Group A candidate, you'll be treated as a Group A candidate, and you'll apply in your preference like everyone else. What we're doing is we're encouraging those that require out of sync starts, that might be a term 2 or mid-year, to start those conversations with their first preference facilities and say that you're interested. There's also FAQ documents on the intern recruitment website. So every facility has information about the campaign page, and they're specifically asked, do you support mid-year or term 2 commencements, where they have to provide a response to that. And my understanding is, I think 18 or 19 of the facilities are now accommodating a later start.
Great, thanks, Shane. Okay, another question that came up was, I have withdrawn from the RG, which is the Rural Generalist campaign, after receiving an offer. Does this now change my category, or can I apply as per normal through the Queensland Health Intern campaign?
Excellent question. Yes, you can still apply to the general campaign if you have, it depends on what applicant group you're in when you applied. So I think the Rural Generalist campaign is open to groups A or B. It might be best if you email us and we'll talk through that, because there might be some circumstances where we need to talk to the Queensland Rural Generalist pathway and how they're communicating what happens once they decline an offer. So I'll just encourage that person to email us directly at intern-recruitment@health.qrd.gov.au, and we can talk that through with you.
Yep, great. Thanks, Shane. I think it does vary a lot, doesn't it? Okay, so there was quite a few questions about, obviously, Cat Bs applying to undersubscribed hospitals, and they have more of a chance of getting a position, to the ones that are oversubscribed with Cat As. Does a Group B candidate at an undersubscribed hospital get their first preference, i.e. will they not be bumped out by a Group A balloted from another hospital? So I assume, does the balloting process happen first and Group Bs get what's left? Or if the Group B preferences say Bundaberg first, will they be guaranteed that position, or could a Group A balloted take their spot?
Yeah, good question. It's a really good question, and happens. This question sort of raised every year. What happens in terms of the campaign is that the Group A's are allocated or balloted first. Following that, any hospital that has a vacancy will fill those vacancies with Groups B to D. In saying that, what happens is some Group A's will get balloted to a regional facility, and they are unhappy and they decline their offer. That hospital will then look at their first preferences from those in Groups B, C, and D, and make offers accordingly. So it really depends on how many positions are filled via the ballot. So we know some facilities, even after the ballot has finished up, they'll have 20 vacancies. So it all really depends on the number of positions after the ballot at each vacancy, where a lot of our regional facilities will still have vacancies after those Group A's. It is a little bit confusing, but to cut it short, I guess Group A's are allocated and balloted first, and then vacancies are filled by B, C's, and D's. Hospitals really want candidates that have first preferenced them. So they'll be looking at the preferences and thinking, oh, we've been balloted someone who preferenced us 15th versus we've got someone who really wants to be here, and they're a Group B, C, or D, and we've been preferenced first. The likelihood is that they're going to go with the candidate who has preferenced them first, because the Group A is likely to decline their offer.
Okay, great. Thanks, Shane. Another question came in specifically for Hervey Bay. Can the Hervey Bay Hospital please clarify if there are critical care RMO years for PGY2 or PGY3 onwards?
Yes, that is the case, absolutely. So we offer anesthetics, ICU, and emergency medicine. Yes, it can be filled by PGY2, and we already have 2 of our interns in those positions next year, and a number that are interested in applying to it as well. So yes, you can.
Brilliant, thank you. Someone said a few hospitals mentioned that they get paid for any overtime that gets done as a selling point for the location. Is it not common practice to be paid overtime, or are all interns guaranteed their overtime to be paid? If someone from a few different hospitals want to jump in and let us know.
Overtime will always be paid. You work it, you claim it, you'll get it.
And
Gunjan?
Yeah,
Right,
at Caboolture too, overtime will always be paid. We do try to minimize the overtime that the interns do, but yeah, it will get paid.
Right. And Felicity?
Yeah, I guess, it's a bit concerning that it is a selling point because, this is not child labour. Like if you work, you should be paid, and fully support doctors being paid as the AMAQ would. So it is unfortunate, but I think we can change the culture over time. So, my hospital and a lot of hospitals have the view that if you do it and you can evidence that you've seen a patient, it was clinical work, you will get paid. Thanks.
Thanks, Felicity. And Ali?
Similar to the other hospitals, it's the same for Royal. Sometimes you have rostered overtime built into your schedule, and that's a nice way of knowing when you're going to get the overtime and that pay for it, as well as you can obviously adjust your life around it. But also, Royal follows the same, the rules you can't have less than 10 hours between shifts. And there's been some instances when that might occur that it's less than 10 hours, and every single time you get paid fatigue. So they'll always check in just to make sure that you're okay in terms of, when fatigue is altered, but you always get paid, and no one's ever had an issue with that either at the Royal.
Great, thanks, Ali. And Alex?
Yeah, Mackay, we just sort of ditto what everyone else says. If there's overtime, you will be paid for it. You submit the relevant forms, and no questions get asked. You get paid. If you're clinically required to do duties outside of the hours you're rostered, you will get paid for it.
Great, thanks, Alex. Another question now with the new 2-year pre-vocational framework. Do most hospitals now offer 2-year contracts from intern year, or is it 1? And I noticed that one hospital also mentioned a 3-year contract. So again, if a few people want to jump in and answer. Hubby Bay.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been offering 2-year contracts for many years now, and it's not changed because of PGY2. So it gives you security of employment when you come up here, and it's just part of our way of welcoming you.
Great, thank you. Alex and Mackay, what do you normally provide?
Yeah, Mackay is 2-year contracts as well, or option to negotiate for a 1 or 2-year contract, but generally our interns take a 2-year contract and we keep most of them.
Great. And Alison?
Sunshine Coast, we offer 2 years from the get-go.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Shane?
Thanks. This is another question that we've posed in the frequently asked questions documents for all the hospitals, and there's a question around, do you offer 12-month or 2-year contracts? So every hospital has responded to that, and they'll find those documents on the Intern recruitment website. We are seeing more and more hospitals move into a 2-year contract. I'd say probably about 5 or 6 years ago, the vast majority were on 12-month contracts, but that's moving in the other direction now.
Well, great, thank you. Actually, there have been quite a few questions coming in about where do people actually find the contact names for the MEUs. But if you do go onto the Queensland Health website, you can see that there's access to all of those particulars. Shane, did you have another comment?
No, sorry, that was a big hand up.
No, that's all right. Okay. Oh, there has been quite a few other questions as well. Like Shane, you did touch on people applying as a couple, but what if one of them is applying for the January intake, say from JCU, but then the partner, is from Bond and they want to do a mid-year intake? Can they still put in an application to say that they are a couple, but looking at the 2 different intakes?
Yes, good question. So we changed that last year in consideration of the Bond mid-year cohort. So originally it was graduating on the same date. Now it's graduating in the same year.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
certainly they can apply if one is commencing in January and one is commencing mid-year. They can certainly apply for a joint ticket.
Okay, great. And then obviously this is part of the process, Shane, but once you've secured your spot at the hospital, what is the next step, i.e. your request to apply for particular rotations? And so it's the allocating of lines. How does that work?
Yep, that's right. So once you're allocated to a position or selected to a position from a hospital, the hospital will commence their pre-employment documentation and the onboarding process. As part of that process, they'll most likely reach out to you and send you a survey around the allocations and what you're interested in, and they'll try their best to accommodate that.
Okay, thanks. And do all hospitals offer relocation assistance? And if yes or no, do they offer it for Cat A's, B's and C's and D's, or what's the case for each hospital?
I might open up to the hospitals for that, but most likely it's irrespective of the applicant group. I wouldn't think it would matter, but yeah, best for the hospitals to respond to that one.
Gemma?
Yeah, so Central Queensland Health Service offers relocation packages that are quite generous for all applicants, whether they're IMGs or in Australia, and for interns, RMOs, and every other level of trainee. It doesn't matter what category you are in, we will offer the same relocation packages. And we also will offer assistance with moving between the sites if people need to move between rural sites as part of their rotations in the year.
Oh, great, thank you. And Brad?
RBWH offers, we don't discriminate against categories on relocations, and there's no caps. It just depends on where you're relocating from and the costs associated with those relocations for flights, removal of furniture, etc., etc. So we also send rural, and there is support around the rural placements and relocating out there as well.
Great, thank you. And again, Shane, you did touch on this, but we just want to say, so a graduating medical student receives 3 offers from 3 separate states. Do the offers for internships in the different states come out simultaneously so that you can choose which one you want to accept? Or what was that period of time where you, during the audit, where you had to make that decision?
Yes, so offers will come out for the guaranteed cohort on the same date, a national release date. So generally, an intern or final year medical student is only guaranteed in one state. So they'll get their home state offer first, and then other states will offer as required. And that happens right up until November. So with the audit, those holding on to multiple offers, we encourage them to accept multiple offers. It's totally fine, but you will be contacted within the 3 audit periods and asked about which state or territory you want to work at, and then you'll have to decline the other offers. So you get 48 hours to decide. It's totally fine to hold on to multiple offers, and every state and territory has an expectation that the choice is with the candidate.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. So another question is, once the intern campaign opens and you've got access to the portal where you can see people applying to each hospital, will I be able to see that every single day? So like, can I apply the day before it closes so that I can see which hospitals are subscribed and which ones are undersubscribed?
Yes, certainly. So use that position, PSR position report to your benefit. So what generally happens is people will apply and they'll list their preferences. They don't need to hit submit right up until the closing of the campaign. So that information is visible from when the campaign opens to when the campaign closes, and the PSR will shut down as soon as the campaign closes. The PSR will reopen again for those in applicants groups B, C, and D, so they can see where the vacancies are and decide if they wish to re-preference.
Fantastic. Okay, another one, if I am a Cat B to D student, is it worth making direct contact with the medical education units to express my interest in working there as a first preference? Should we put that through to the medical education units in different sites? Hartford?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I did. And like has been said a couple of times, the big thing that I think a lot of sites want to know is whether we're your number 1 choice. If you're interested in coming here, that's probably the biggest plus for us. And we'd really like to talk to you one-on-one and make sure that you're a good fit. Again, that's what I did, and it was received well.
Great, thank you. And Gunjan?
Yeah, so people start to make contact pretty early on if they're in that B to D category, like attending site-specific information evenings or and contacting the MAU about it. And I think it really helps. As Hartford said, it's very important for the site to know that you are in their top couple of preferences. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Also, maybe for the medical education units, so what are potential employers in Queensland Health looking for on the resume? Obviously, clinical experience as referees, but are you looking for participation in research projects or community leadership? What other things would pique your interest? Gunjan?
Yeah, so we've instituted very specific selection criteria and have a little spreadsheet. It includes your time of completion of internship, med school, and any gaps from that, explanation for that. Then anything else that you've done in additional qualifications that are relevant to medicine. Research and audit projects, any teaching that you've undertaken, any leadership experience, and then we score people based on their referee reports as well. So good to have referees who know you really well and who are likely to put in a positive comment there rather than just tick the okay box.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Okay, so all Cat B to D applicants will only receive one offer from the state. Is there any chance that they could receive a different offer down the line? So Michelle or Shane, would you like to answer that? I believe, Michelle, you said that Group B to Ds will only be made one offer in Queensland. So does that mean if they reject, say, Ipswich Hospital, they are not eligible to have an intern position in any other hospital in Queensland?
Yes, that's correct. Only one offer for Queensland.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. There have been a lot of questions from the Cat D international medical graduates, as obviously each of your individual circumstances are quite different, and we will need specific questions directed to like APRA or Department of Foreign Affairs. We've chosen not to air any of them online tonight, but we will try to answer as many as we can online and then send you a copy of those answers. And we will obviously are happy to talk to any of you individually if you'd like to make contact with us or Queensland Health directly. Because as another thing that we may want to touch on that's not directly related to the intern campaign is that the international medical graduates have been talking about the AMC Part 1 and AMC Part 2, but there are also hospitals in Queensland that do offer the WBA program, and so please feel free to reach out to those hospitals to talk to them about that. And we are nearing the end of the webinar. Shane, is there anything that you'd like to add in conclusion?
Yeah, I might just add that there's been a number of questions coming through the chat around those that might be an IMG and they've completed an internship 10 years ago in another country. Are they eligible to apply to the Queensland Health Intern Recruitment Campaign? The answer to that is no. You're only eligible to apply to the Queensland Health Recruitment Campaign if you have not completed an internship in Australia or overseas. If you have, you can apply to the Resident Medical Officer Recruitment Campaign. But yeah, that's probably it for me, Andrea, and thank you so much for facilitating.
That's all right. Thanks, Shane. All right. Well, that now brings the intern information session to a close. On behalf of the NQRTH team and the Queensland Health teams across Queensland, I'd like to thank everyone for making this such a great night. I'd like to thank each of our panelists for taking time out of their very busy schedules to share such valuable information about intern opportunities in Queensland. And a very special thanks to the Queensland Health recruitment team for being so generous with your time, and to Michelle answering so many questions in the background. This webinar has been recorded, and in the next couple of days you will receive an email from us with the link, as well as what we said, the questions to all of the answers to all of the questions. So if you do require any additional information, or if you have questions about what we've covered this evening, please email the Queensland Health Intern Recruitment Team via email at intern-recruitment@health.queensland.gov.au, or you can contact my team at nqrth.admin@jcu.edu.au. And before we go tonight, I invite you to join us for our upcoming webinar episodes, including Thriving During End-to-End Medical Training in Northern Queensland on the 13th of May, and also the Queensland Health RMO and Registrar Information Session, which we'll be co-hosting with Queensland Health again on the 22nd of May. And lastly, Enhance Your Medical Training Through Research, which will be held on the 28th of May at 6 p.m. So if you are interested in any of those, please register today so that you receive your link. And thank you once again for attending the Queensland Intern Information webinar. Have a great night. Thank you.